She banged on my cabin door like she owned the place and yelled, "Open up! HOA says I need this property for a few days." I almost laughed, but the man sitting in my living room couldn't. He was the only witness in a federal case, and my job was to keep him hidden. I stood there, my hand on the doorknob, listening to her heels clicking on the porch as she muttered about calling security. She had no idea who was inside, and no idea that every word she said was being recorded on my cameras. I cracked the door, just enough to see her smirk. She waved a clipboard in my face like it was a badge. "This is HOA authority," she snapped. "You don't live here legally anyway." My jaw tightened, but I stayed calm. If I showed my hand too soon, she'd smell the truth. And if she found out who I was protecting, she wouldn't just be a nuisance, she'd be dangerous. I leaned against the frame and said, "Karen, you don't want what's behind this door." Her smile froze for a second. She thought it was a threat. She didn't know it was a warning. Her face turned red the moment I said that. "Are you threatening me on HOA property?" she shouted so loud the echo bounced off the trees. Inside, the witness flinched, pulling the hood of his jacket tighter. I motioned for him to stay quiet. Karen's voice cracked through the door again. "I'll have you removed. I'll bring security, and if that doesn't work, I'll call the sheriff myself." That was the moment my phone buzzed. A secure text from the marshal's office. "Keep him inside. No exposure. Possible leak in the county." My stomach dropped. A leak? That meant someone local might already know the witness was here. Karen pounding on my door suddenly felt less like a random nuisance and more like a setup. I opened the door wider, trying to read her eyes. She was too smug, too confident, like she already knew I couldn't refuse her. She raised the clipboard higher, tapping it with her manicured nail. "See this notice? Temporary occupancy transfer. It's official. Sign here or pack up and get out. You don't belong here." I stepped onto the porch, closing the door just enough so Karen couldn't see inside. "Where did you get this paper?" I asked, keeping my tone calm. She smirked, tilting her head. "Neighbors talk, sheriff talks, even your mailman talks. Information gets around. All I know is you don't deserve this cabin, and trust me, I always get what I want." Her words cut sharper than she realized. Sheriff talks. That was the leak. Someone in uniform had fed her this nonsense, maybe even told her there was something or someone worth finding inside. Before I could respond, tires crunched on the gravel road. A black SUV rolled up, tinted windows glinting in the sunlight. Karen's smirk grew wider. She waved at the car like she'd been expecting it. Two men in matching polos stepped out, their belts heavy with radios. They weren't cops. They weren't HOA either. But they moved with confidence, the kind that comes from being paid well to intimidate. Karen folded her arms, smug as ever. "See, I told you, security. Either let me in or they'll make sure you regret it." Inside, I heard the witness shift, whispering under his breath. "They're not here for her. They're here for me." And suddenly, I knew he was right. The two men spread out like they'd rehearsed it 100 times, one circling toward the back of the cabin, the other planting himself at the bottom of my porch steps. Karen didn't even look nervous. She leaned on the railing like a queen watching her soldiers march. "Last chance," she said sweetly. "Hand me the keys and nobody gets hurt." I kept my arms crossed, though my mind was racing. If these guys were after the witness, they weren't going to stop at a door. My phone buzzed again, another marshal text. "Confirmed leak, possible extraction attempt, hold position until backup." Backup? Out here? That could take 30 minutes. I didn't have 30 seconds. The guy on the steps put one foot on the bottom porch stair. "Sir, we're here under HOA enforcement. Cooperate." His voice was calm, but his hand was hovering too close to his jacket pocket. No radio, no badge, and definitely no HOA. I let out a slow breath and opened the door behind me just enough to speak without Karen hearing me. "Stay down. Don't move until I say," I whispered to the witness. His eyes widened, but he nodded. Karen tapped her fake clipboard against the railing, humming like she was enjoying a show. "Tick-tock, your little secrets won't last much longer."
What she didn't realize was she was standing right under my security camera, and everything, every word, every fake threat was streaming live to the sheriff's department.
The man at the bottom of the steps climbed higher, his shoes thudding against the old wood. Karen straightened, ready to watch me fold. But instead of moving back, I stepped forward, blocking the door with my body. "You know what's funny?" I said, keeping my tone casual. "Real HOA notices don't come with pixelated seals, and real security doesn't forget to wear ID." For the first time, Karen's smirk flickered. The man on the stairs froze too, his hand slipping further into his jacket. That's when a sharp click came from behind the porch. The second man had looped around and was now testing the back door handle. Inside, the witness whispered urgently, "They'll kill me if they get in." Karen tilted her head, regaining her composure. "Oh, please, stop pretending. You're just a squatter in a cabin you can't afford. These men, they're professionals. They know how to resolve things." My phone vibrated again, this time not a text, a live call from dispatch. I answered without looking away from her. The sheriff's voice came through, low and tense. "We've got your feed. Hold 'em there. Back up en route." I let a slow grin tug at the corner of my mouth. "Karen," I said, my voice steady now, "I really hope you practiced your smile, because in about 3 minutes, you're gonna be famous." Her smug expression faltered again, and for the first time, I saw fear slip into her eyes.
Karen's bravado cracked, just for a heartbeat, before she forced that fake smile back on. "You're bluffing," she snapped, but her voice shook, and both men noticed it. The one at the back door called out, "It's locked tight! You want me to break it?" That was her moment of panic. She turned sharply, waving her hands. "No, not yet. Let me handle this." She didn't want them to force entry, not while the cameras were rolling. I took a slow step closer, lowering my voice so only she could hear. "You think you're in control, but you walked right into my trap. Every word you've said is being recorded. You just committed trespassing, fraud, and conspiracy on camera." Her face drained of color. For the first time, the men seemed unsure, exchanging a glance like they weren't paid enough for this. The guy on the porch muttered, "Karen, you didn't say anything about cops." I could almost hear her heart pounding as she stammered, "They're lying! He's making it up!" But even she didn't sound convinced anymore. And then, headlights appeared through the trees, multiple sets moving fast. Red and blue strobes flashed against the cabin walls. The sound of sirens cut through the quiet mountain air. The witness inside whispered, almost in disbelief, "They actually came." Karen's eyes widened, her knees buckling as the reality hit her. She wasn't the one with backup. I was.